So, good evening, everybody. I'm Tim Kelly at Multi-Claim Guru. Tonight's session, we're going to talk about branding, marketing, and advertising. You've all got companies, so I won't go through the basics of what branding and advertising and marketing is, but I will cover a touch of that. I'll probably go into a little bit more depth. What I'd like to do is just show you the benefits of why you need to promote yourself, and that it's actually not a one-off thing. People might think that once you've done it, that's all you need to do. You've done your branding, you've got it where you need to do, you stuck it on a website and you can crack on. It's not that. Making yourself recognizable and making yourself desirable to a customer that wants to pay for your services is something that you need to do with consistency. It's not where if you just stick one advert out, you're going to get tons of customers. You need to be doing it every single day. And it's also not just by one means. It could be in all sorts of different things you do. So it could be anything from talking to people on the phone. It could be through actual marketing and advertising itself. It could be going to different shows, tradespeople, networking. There's so many different areas of where you can get into advertising and marketing that you might not necessarily think it. You need to be doing all different things together and have it so it kind of all works to focus on one goal at the end of it, which is, you're successful at marketing and branding when the people who aren't looking for you find you and recognize you. And that's what I like to put across more than anything else. So I've left it so all your microphones are open. So there's only 7 of us, feel free to ask any questions anyway through. So certainly if it relates to your own business and you want some pointers of what's going on. Like I said, what I might actually do at some point as well is point over to Richard, because his advertising and marketing is quite cheeky in what he does, because there is a subliminal connection there with his branding and the font of his typeface that he uses in his branding that helps people associate his company with what services he provides. So it's not a bad example, but it's also about creating an audience. And that's one thing that I can't convey enough, that you need to create an audience. And there's some examples recently as well, which what I should do, like I said, I've not researched anything before I come on, I forgot what it's called now. So you might have seen that there's been some YouTubers selling some fizzy drinks. All the kids have gone mad for it. Next thing, it's £5 a bottle for a bottle of water with some taste in it. Take the cap off to them. Superb marketing. When you actually create a brand, and they've done it quite quickly over a year or two, where you create a demand for a product that is, to all intents and purposes, just flavored water, and getting kids fighting over it. It shows that basically the people that have been watching the videos have been brainwashed into wanting it. But it just goes to show that, pardon my French, it doesn't matter what shit you're selling. If you can create enough demand and want for it, people will buy it. So if you've got some young people on YouTube having it sus to the point of whereas they can sell branded bottled water, I'm sure people who work repairing vehicles should be able to convey what they do to customers and the benefits it provides them. And it's all down to marketing, advertising, branding, but also providing an association with what they want with what you do and how do you do it. And part of that's through branding. So things we need to look at in terms of branding is, what brands can you think of that would you say are successful? And the interesting thing with most of the big brands that are successful is that they actually don't tell you what they do. So if you look at what the big brands are, as an example, so I'm just going to flick through stuff on the background and bring something up. And there's also another thing in terms of that some of the most successful brands through advertising in America. And this is something that is, it's quite interesting, because in the UK, there is this thing where we don't generally shout out about what we do. It's almost like we're scared to tell people that we are great, we are fantastic, we offer these services. I've got somebody else popping in as well. As he skimmed in under, Bradley's coming in. It's almost like we're embarrassed to tell people how good we are. And a good example I can give you of that as well is that there's different ways of telling people how good you are. So as an example, if I wanted to talk about me, I could go, do you know what? I'm a complete egotist. I am fantastic. I'm absolutely amazing. I'm the only person in the UK doing what I do. You'll never find anybody else as brilliant as me. I've got a wide range of knowledge that will help me do anything you want for any different consumer. I am fantastic. Now, if you try to sell that to somebody, I've still not told you what I do. And chances are, I probably rub them up the one way and they just think like, what a narcissist, how egotistical is that? Yeah, he's selling is great. But when you compare that to American advertising, it's quite often you'll see something like that in there, and then they'll do a link to what they do at the end of it. Now, different ways of providing advertising and marketing is actually, rather than tell people how brilliant you are just because you're brilliant, is to tell them how you go about being brilliant. So an example you could use from being a repairer is that you can identify the needs of the customer and say, we are X body shop, or it could be a different name that doesn't even identify what you do as being a body shop. But when you have a situation where you're feeling where you damage your vehicle in some way, we're here to help you through that process, and we're going to make sure that not only is your vehicle repaired, but we're also going to look to make sure that we look after you from every part of that journey to make sure that not only is the car okay, but you're okay, and we'll deal with your insurance company. So actually, you've got nothing to worry about. We want to hold your hand all the way through it to make sure that when you get to the end of that journey, not only is the car repaired correctly and that's how it was by the manufacturer, but we also make sure that you're happy with everything that's gone on and you don't have to worry about any of the hassles and stresses of dealing with the insurance company if we do it for you. Now, for me, if I was a consumer and I heard that, I've not heard of a company saying, I'm brilliant, I'm fantastic, and we're the best repairers on the planet and we're doing an amazing job. What it's done is give me peace of mind. Now, anybody who's been on any sessions, you might have heard before that I will always tell you that what you do is you don't repair cars, you sell peace of mind. It doesn't matter what product you've got. Somebody like me, somebody's got an issue with an insurance claim or this through engineering. What I do when they speak to me is I give them peace of mind. So I might spend 20 minutes, half an hour on the phone with them, and I'll talk them through all the different situations and scenarios of things that could go on and what things might benefit them and what things might not benefit them. But by the end of that phone call, they should have peace of mind that they know what direction they want to go into. As a repairer, you need to be doing the same things. So when you do that, and you develop that peace of mind, they will think you are the best thing since sliced bread all day long. If you do that, you then need a link from that service you provide. So it doesn't matter whether it's repairing vehicles or selling jewelry or hair products, cars, toys, doing what I do. Doing something where they've got that peace of mind and they want to use you, you need some type of link to make it create a trigger. Now, when you start looking at triggers, it could be something that's verbal. So if you look at the best marketing campaigns, if you look at the top, it's Nike. So you've all got your mics open. I'll put it so you can unmute it. So who can tell me what the catch line was for Nike adverts? Feel free to shout it out.
Just do it.
Just do it.
There we go. So are you lot going to just do it when it comes to your advertising and marketing, or sit there and do rock all? So it's actually great in so many different ways because it actually is. It's a call to action. So the important thing of that is that it's not just selling a brand. What they're actually doing is they're selling an emotion. They're telling you, no matter what it is you want to do in life, whether it's about getting fit or anything, it's quite subliminal, should I say, in that they're linking their products to everything. So what do you want to do in life? How to be a major success? Just go out and do it. I really need to kind of get fit from where I was, but I don't know what to do and what should I wear. And, you know, it's like, no, just do it. Get off your ass and do it. If you want something, get off your ass and do it. And Nike did that and encapsulated it beautifully in the way they marketed it. Now, looking at their campaign, it will show me. Won't let me do it. There you go. Now that there's an interesting take. So stereotypically before this advert, so you notice that, ooh, got that one out. So the person in that advert who they had was in his 80s. Well, stereotypically with it being a brand focused on getting healthy and fitness, they generally aimed it at younger people. So if you look at the demographic, it was generally people in under 20 up to 30, and they're in a gym or they're running or they're on a bike or something like that. And what they actually realized was that, yes, there's tons of people out there who want to go fit, and they might actually do that and go to a gym and do the different bits and bobs of other types of the fitness. They were missing out on a massive demographic. And what they realized was that there's lots of people out there that are older than 30 or 40 or 50 that wasn't being catered for in the health industry marketplace, and they were missing out on a massive swathe of people. So what they did was they tried to create a catch line in Just Do It, create visual imagery by way of videos like that, where it's an 80-year-old bloke, to say it's not just do it for young people, it's anyone. Now, one of the reasons why this advert was so successful was that it actually started triggering people who wouldn't normally have looked at that brand to get healthy with. So yeah, absolutely cracking brand. Now the thing is, when you look at that, it's not letting me do it. So if you look at the actual Nike brand, does that show a shoe to you? So does that show any type of health product or anything related to sport? So this is something else that's significant with branding. When you look at the vehicle repair industry, most vehicle repairers will have something telling people what they do. So it might be, for example, like Sonny's auto spray. You might find somebody saying such and such vehicle repairs, or it might be your own personal name vehicle repairs. What you've got to think about as well is that as part of creating a brand related to your business, you also need to work out what it is you want to do with that business in the future. So if you have something that has your personal name tied into it as part of that business, it restricts it if you ever want to kind of get out and sell it, get out at the end of it. So if you want to sell it after 20, 30 years, it's very hard to sell something that's got your name attached to it, because the person buying it wouldn't want your name. So if you think of something like Nike, that could represent anything as a brand. It could be food products, for example, rather than health. Or it could be that it develops into a brand the way it is doing, well, how it is now, and somebody else might want to buy it. Now, if somebody else buys that brand, you'd never know, because it'll still retain the brand name and it'll still have all the attachments it had previously to the other person buying it, which makes it means it has value, but it will also retain value. So what other brands are like that? So again, what's interesting is stuff like Pepsi was another good brand. Everybody knows who Pepsi is. And what you've got to look at as an example is, why is it you recognize these brands? So if you look at the likes of Nike or Pepsi, or then another one is Coca-Cola, Dove. Old Spice is a funny one because it smells like crap and people still like it. But I mean, I think the actual advertising and marketing with Old Spice was genius. Some of the things they do, because it was funny. So it's things like, what things can you do by way of your marketing that will make you memorable to people? Being memorable is a very key thing, because you want somebody to attach it to what you've got. But if you look at those different brands there, again, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Dove, they don't say drinks and soap. It doesn't say what it is. So when you're creating a brand with something or a business, do you want to just tailor it so it tells people what you do and you can't move outside of that? So like I said, if it's something, X and X vehicle repairs or body shop or painting, it kind of limits how you market it to people outside of those things that you can sell. Whereas a good example, there's a body shop that was on here the other week actually, and they're called Killer Shine. And it as a brand name, and he's also thinking about changing it and rebranding it. I actually quite like it, because being Killer Shine means you could also do valeting products as a good example, or it could be anything. So it's finding something that represents what you want to do and working out whether you want people. So for example, with myself, I'm Multi-Claim Guru. You know instantly what I do because of my brand name. So you need to work out whether it's something you want people to attach what you do through your brand name, or is it something that you can use it as an umbrella to cover other things as well. Everybody okay? Because I know we're all muted and it's a bit quiet in the background, so I can't hear anything coming back. Cooler shaker. So how do you create association? So yeah, so if you all want to unmute yourselves, like I said, it's a bit too quiet now, so I can't hear anything. So how do you create association? So tell me how you think associate. How do you think people associate what you do with your brand name or your company name? Or do you think they do? So Debs is quite good in the background there. So if you look at, if I just come back out this share now, if you look what's in the background of what Deb's got there. So off her reception, you can see that she's got paintwork, satisfaction, dents, methods, OEM, professional. So I think anybody walking into a reception knows exactly what she does. But do you also use that in your branding as well, Debs, in your adverts?
No, we don't, to be honest. I made it specifically to go on the wall in the office, but I think it's on our website, but we don't generally put it on the branding. I mean, ours, because it's DDV, it doesn't immediately scream body shop to people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like you say, it does give us the option to be doing other things in the future, because technically it is our names, because it's Deb, Stan and Violet, which is our little one, but it doesn't have to say that to anyone.
No.
Our logo now does actually have a spray gun in it, but our logo kind of has evolved a bit over time.
So if you put your logo out to people, do you reckon they'd recognise it?
Probably only if they've been there before. I mean, we did have posters up in the local shopping centre and things like that. So I think maybe it's something people local have seen, but they wouldn't necessarily really know it if they haven't been to us.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you think from the general public, or if a good example would be people on LinkedIn or on Facebook, if people saw that, do you think they'd recognise it's me?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet, I was going to argue, that could mean anything, couldn't it? As a guru, it could mean something that isn't vehicle insurance repairs or car repairs, but on the other side of it, it kind of looks like me with my grey beard as well. So like a snapshot. So
buy yourself an orange turban.
Well, do you know what? Actually, there's a company that I work with called Tractable, and one of the funniest things ever was that so as part of Tractable, what I'm doing is providing engineering services in the background on as part of the consultancy stuff we do to teach the AI about engineering. And we're in the middle of a meeting, just starting it up, and the staff there are awesome, and you've never seen a more multicultural group of employees in your life, because they are truly a global company. So there's people there from Thailand, Sri Lanka, Portugal, Spain, UK, America, Polish. It's just like, I've had meetings and been speaking to people in the Caribbean whilst we're having the meeting. It's just like, yeah, I'm working from home today. And you think, like, so you look at Richard and he's got that in his background there, thinking like, right, that'd be great. I've been in the middle of a meeting where somebody has physically had that, not as a photograph in the background, while I've been talking to them, just going, this is just pretty much like in the US. Going, that's a lifestyle. And one of the lads who works for them, who's now become a close friend, and he's Sikh, and he came on, and it was hilarious because I had some branding in the background, and it looked like him. He's turban on, and I went, I'm missing a trick here. I need to do a screenshot of this, because it was like, it was quite literally brilliant. It was just right on it. And I'm like, right, if I go to a car show now, or I go to any type of trade show, I need to take you with me, with your Sikh, because you turban. And I'm like, actually, have you got? Because I also understand if you don't know about the Sikh belief system and the background of turbans as well, the actual turbans are quite significant in terms of what they represent to the families and the heritage, and they mean different things. So I was trying to find out what an orange turban represented, and it actually, by pure chance, represented a lot of the things that I put forward within what I do into the ethos. And it's about bringing calm and serenity. But I was trying to buy a turban, and I tell you what, it's all right if you want to buy a turban, so you find out how expensive they are. and then I nearly died, and I went, aside from the fact I'd have to put it on as well. But from a marketing point of view, and you kind of get in dodgy ground as well, so I won't want to disrespect people walking around a trade show with a turban on, not being seeking, knowing that I could do so. It's a bit of a funny thing, but I was asking him if I could buy one, and would he put it on for me? But from a marketing point of view, that'd be great, because I can guarantee if I walk around some type of show and I was wearing that, you'd instantly recognise me and know who I am. That looks so weird then, I'm it. Look like you tried to rip your ear off. Just like that. So things like that, what makes you recognizable? So how do you stand out from your competitors as well? So from from a branding point of view, from an ambassador point of view, you need some type of differentiators, and you need a unique selling point about what you do as well. And it's how you convey that. And like I said, there's different ways of doing that. And one of them is in terms of visual things. So it could be something to do with actual physical branding like that, or it could do with your signage. If I can get rid of that out of there. And like I said, what I might do is just give you an example of Richard's branding. Because so if you don't know what Richard does, if you're a fan of the Ferrari brand, and there's other companies that do this as well, in terms of there might be a Porsche franchise, for example, or be a Porsche independent, and you might find that the actual font of the lettering they use is similar to what that brand might use. And when you look at what Richard's done with his branding, you can see there from his typeset that it's very similar to a very well-known Italian brand that does a lot of red cars. Just happens to have one underneath it. So things like that is quite a clever thing to do, because without actually saying what he does, just by using a typeset that triggers that relationship with somebody, they automatically know that it must be something to do with that brand. So subtle things like that is a good way of doing something without screaming about it. So with myself, it's a bit different, but what I've done with it, I've used certain colours for certain things. So how many of you heard of a colour wheel?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. have any of you used the colour wheel? Now, what's interesting with using a colour wheel is that different colours elicit different responses. So, and this can be very important if you're doing it through a website point of view, which is the bit I'm going to move on to. So, when you create your website, you want to look at what you're trying to do and what information you're trying to convey. The colours on it are very important. One, from a readability point of view, there's certain colours in certain backgrounds that are quite hard to read. It never ceases to amaze me when I look at a website and look at the actual size of the font, the colours of it, and the background for it, and sometimes it drops in and you can't even see it. You get this quite a lot with different magazines as well. You might see a magazine that's got a great article, and then on the article they have a photograph in the background for it, and partway through the article as you're reading it, and you just get into that really important bit, and then you can't read it because it's got a black background and it's black text. So whatever you're trying to convey in a written form, make sure you can read it. That's the most important thing. When you're providing the actual, doesn't matter whether you're doing this through a leaflet, through a magazine, through a website, make sure that the colours that are on it as well should be generally warm. It should either be very similar to your brand or identical to it, or it should elicit a response in people where people feel some type of warmth towards it. So if you did a page on any of those formats and the background was red and the font was black, I would guarantee within minutes of reading it, it'd drive you crackers and you find it hard to read and you'd turn off for it. It just turn that as well. So make things easy for people. Now, any aspect of running a business and any aspect of selling a business or service you provide, what you need to do is make it as easy as possible and don't have any barriers that stop people from using your services. This should also be the same in terms of the way you advertise and market to them as well. So make it as easy as possible for them to understand what it is you do, what services you offer, and why you should use them, why they should use you. Now, how many of you did your own branding for your business, and how many actually paid for somebody to do it? So put your hand up if you did your own. So Kevin just did it with this. Kevin, Clint, Richard. I mean, so all of you. Okay. So how long have you had that branding for?
Way too long.
5 years I've had mine.
Yeah.
Mine's recent, so 3 months.
Yeah. Okay. And how do you feel about it now then? So Shane, you're a bit different to yours, isn't he? So Richard just said he should probably change it.
It needs to be completely refreshed. It's been 17 years and it wasn't brilliant at the time.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at your website, then it looks old straight away. It looks like it's been on. Yeah.
Thank you. No,
Yeah.
honestly, it's because of circumstances and the fact that we don't actually need or want new business at the moment. We've got too much.
Don't matter though.
It
Still represents what you do.
Exactly, but it's coming this year. This year
Yeah.
we'll have a really, really good refresh.
And that in itself is important because you're saying you've got more work than you can handle, but then it's also, it could also turn somebody else off as well. And it's like, and sometimes it's actually, in some ways that could actually be a unique selling point for yourselves, because it could just go, whoever's done that must be an old person, because it looks like it's from the 1990s. So, you know, I like old people, so I want to get some work out. I'll do some work with them because they'll look after me. They must be the same age group and demographic, isn't it? So you can use it for a benefit sometimes. Let's just get you back for today. That reads cycle with them. Go, who's talking then? Well,
I was just going to say, I kind of do refresh it a bit every year, every other year, because we're not, well, I'm not a designer, so I kind of learn a little bit every time I do it. So I just sort of, the logos had probably 3 or 4 different iterations by now. It always keeps the same DDB, but the bits around it. And then the latest one, because we're mainly purple and black, the latest one we've been adding a bit more green in
Mhm.
to go a bit more EV sort of colours. So I try and keep it similar, you know, so I don't change it completely, but I do try and adjust it as we go along.
Mhm.
Just learn a bit more about how to design things and add a bit to it.
So to give you an example, my old branding was this, which the word guru in Sanskrit means bringer of light. And that when I first started my business, I thought, this is great. It's a guru, he's in a cave. So you sat in the dark and you're bringing light in. Fantastic. Going back to what I just said, though, the background's black. So if I do any text anywhere, it's a nightmare. So up here needs to be kind of white. Then down here, a different colour. So let's try to have that in the background and everything. It's a pain in the backside. So the next thing then is that I've got my branding on top, so it's in orange. Because it's not white, it's not black. So that's why my branding is now orange, but also I'd already done a colour wheel, and an orange gives it's, you know, it's not an aggressive colour. It's not harsh. It's somewhere in the middle where people find it warm, accepted, and it's easy to read. But also the fonts are different. So then things like, I was looking at that. So I then played around with marketing. So I tried, when I went looking at how I want to present myself, I went through lots of different things. Now, oops. No. Now what happened then was I got the marketing in a certain way. I liked it. And this is something where you need to kind of give yourself a bit of a kick with, really. So my marketing from 2014 to 2017 stayed the same. And the thing with it as well was that I liked it that much. I found it really, really hard to change it. Now, I got my website redone and I got a fresh link to rebrand. And I didn't even really kind of do it on the premise of rebranding in a live, strong, public way of going like, right, I'm rebranding everything, I'm going to put it out there and advertise and market it. I just did it quietly in the background and flipped it over. And what I actually did was I started measuring how receptive people were and how many people clicked onto my website on different brands. And I trialed it for a few months, whereas what I did was I had two versions of my website. And on one version, I had one set of branding. And then on the other version, I had the other set of branding, and I flipped between the two. And then I measured it in the background to look at what kind of bounce rate I had on it to see what people were clicking on it. And it was weird because you wouldn't think there'd be a difference, but there was. And people liked this easily way more than they did the other one. And partly the reason because of it was because the background on my website was white and the font was black. And the only thing that was on it that was coloured was that. So it then meant that you got white, orange, and black. It wasn't 10 different colours. It was just clear, simple, straightforward, dead easy to see. And people found it just kind of easy to read. So when you get things that make it harder to read, people go off it. They've got a small attention span. So if you put more things to stop them from reading it, they'll go away. Having it so that it's clear and concise and easily readable, and also warm, friendly colours makes people get more attracted to it. So my branding changed, and even then, it must have took me the best part of 3 months after I paid for it to kind of go, yeah, I like it. So and it was because I was that ingrained in terms of, because I'd done my own website and done my own branding and chose everything myself and designed it all myself and worked out how I wanted it. For me to change from what I'd done to what somebody else had done, I found very difficult. Now, for all those that have done their own branding, what I would say is, do put it out there to somebody else and see what they come up with. And then what you then want to do is trial it with friends, acquaintances, past customers, and seek their opinion on what they think about it, and see if you can get a general consensus of what people prefer. And it might not be what you want, it might not be what you like, but what you want and what you like doesn't matter. You know, it's down to what brings people into your business and how they associate with you. Everybody okay?
Yep.
Cool, the shaker. So that covers marketing, well, covers branding. So what I want to do is just kind of go about the marketing aspects of it. So now you've got a brand and we're creating some type of association, and we need some type of either visual image or an auditory link. So like with Nike, it was just go do it, or just do it. What can you think about with your business that will help people link what services you provide to you as a business? And how do you go about doing it? So do you do it from a visual thing, or do you do it with an auditory link? So good examples of this are people like Specky Painter. So straight away, his imagery that he's done for that links people, the instant you see a picture of his little thing, you know it's him. So stuff like that is really good from creating a link that helps people associate with what you do. So I think Craig is like, I always think of Craig just as Specky Painter now. I can't call him Craig just because I just see that and I see it and it's like, yeah, that's just Specky Painter. But that's when you know you've got marketing and branding being done well. So the only thing that works against him now is the fact that he doesn't, you know, it's Welcome and not Specky Painter. So you could potentially kind of lose that relationship there. So it's important he kind of keeps that going in the background. But what I would say to all of you is work out something that helps people associate you with what you do. But once you've done that and you've got that brand, how do you get it out there? So the key to marketing, like I said, is having people find you who weren't looking for you. Now, once you've got people who find you who aren't looking for you, that's when you've got it absolutely nailed, because technically you don't even need to market them, because they will hunt you down and find you. So good examples of this are companies like Apple. So when you've got a situation where you're bringing out a new product and people are queuing outside the shop to buy your new product before it's even come out, what they've done is they've created a brand that created loyalty attached to it as well. So if you imagine that Apple come out with a product, they can pretty much sell it for whatever they want. Can you say the same about you as a body shop? So if people come to you, would they pay you exactly what you want for it? Well, you'll then say, well, we've got competitors. So using that as a great parallel, would you say Apple have competitors? Well, you've got anything in the Microsoft brand, or Android as an example of a different platform. So why is it we've got computer systems that have different platforms, and yet you've still got a brand where people will queue outside for 15 hours to buy the latest product? And again, that comes down to what you're selling, the quality of the product you've got, but primarily it's the actual marketing that you've done to create that loyalty with the people and create that relationship. So creating relationships and making people buy into whatever it is you do, again, is a really powerful thing. Now, from what I do as Most Claim Guru, one thing that's happened is that I now actually have a band of advocates, because I've worked with so many people and they like what I do, and you lot will be included in this because you're on the session, is that when they see that you're delivering something that benefits them in some way, and also that it might benefit somebody else, it sounds an odd thing, but it gives them a sense of empowerment. So if I had a friend who needed a service in some way and I couldn't help them, but I knew somebody who could, in some way it makes you feel great when you go, well, I can't help you, but I know somebody who can. That person over there, they're fantastic, they do a really good job. Contact them, they'll sort it out for you. The person you then recommended that business to will go, what a great mate I've got there, because, you know, I didn't know who to go to there. They've saved me all the hassle, grief and stress of having to do loads of research on the internet, trying to find somewhere, look through all the reviews, everything else. I don't have to do that now. And I trust my friend. And because I trust my friend, then I'm going to use that business. So this then is where reviews for your business are a very, very powerful thing. So on the one hand, you need to develop the custom. On the other side of that, you need to have those good customers help become your loyal advocates. And what you want is, you want basically active people who will be actively helping you promote your brand and your services. And you can do this by interaction through social media. Now, before you get onto the social media platform, the start of it, you can do that and not be successful, even with having people becoming kind of like your acolytes and being your best advocates. And you can also not have a platform. Well, you can have a platform, but it's only a kind of one way. So what you'll find is, like, for example, if you see people on TikTok, you can get people who've got loads of people following them, but they never interact with them. And it's because you kind of create a fashion, a trend, or a following. But it could be something completely toxic. So there's people out there who might be influencers that are going down the path of being toxic, have loads of followers for it, but they're not doing a great thing. So the point I'm trying to get to with that is that making sure you've got good solid foundations where you can allow interaction with people who want to work with you or be your customers is a really powerful thing, because they then will start saying what it is you do, how good you were, how you've treated them, and it gives new prospective customers the confidence to use your services in the same way it would do if you had a recommendation of a friend. So building that link of trust develops customers. So creating your audience. So how many of you are on LinkedIn? Great, superb, fantastic. So
Not doing enough with it though.
yeah. So have you seen me LinkedIn training, Richard?
No, I don't think I've watched it yet. I have downloaded it to the PC so I can watch it while I'm driving to work.
No. You can listen to it whilst driving to work. Okay. So if any of you haven't watched my training on LinkedIn, I suggest you look at it. It's the first platform I kind of want to cover it in. I'll do a brief link to it or a brief overview of it. So most people actually think of LinkedIn as being more of a professional Facebook. It's not. LinkedIn is one of the best tools, one of the most powerful tools that you'll ever find. It's every person you'll ever need to help you your business. It's every potential client you could ever wish to have. It's every potential resource in terms of anything from a plumber to somebody who's an expert in marketing to repairing a car to an insurance expert. Everything you need is on there. Now, what people think about LinkedIn is that if they view it in the same way they do about Facebook, oh, I'm not going to accept them, I don't know them. And it's like, no, you need to get this out of your head, just bin that away. You want to add every single person you can add. Now, the thing is that you don't necessarily need to sell to them, and you don't need to necessarily buy off them. But what you want is for them to become one of your advocates. Now, one of the things that I did when I first started off in 2014 was that I created an audience. And the actual story about creating an audience in 2014 didn't actually start there. I started creating my audience before I'd even left the company where I was being made redundant from. So in 2013, I knew I was being made redundant, didn't know where my future lay, but what I did know was that I could potentially use the people that I dealt with in my normal working day. So all of the garages I spoke to and anybody who was in the industry, I started finding these people on LinkedIn and adding them. When I started doing what I did as a business in 2014 onwards, what I then did was I started creating contentious topics on LinkedIn that created debate. But not only did I just post something out there and stick it out there to create an audience, I interacted. Now, again, having this interaction with people, whether it's good or you don't want to be putting anything toxic out there, or having aggressive interaction with them. But doing things that create debate or could be contentious will create an audience. And once it starts creating an audience, more people will jump in. And you'll often see it with keyboard warriors, where all of a sudden something goes on Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn, and next thing there's like 50,000 comments after it. Some ways that can be a bad thing if it's something negative, but if it's a good thing, it can instantly put you in a situation where you've got a massive audience and all of a sudden everybody's following you and you're getting loads of people trying to buy your services off you. So you need to first of all start. So if you've not done anything to social media, you need to start doing that. But getting information out there. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to be contentious, but it does need to be attractive. It needs to make somebody want to watch it, listen to it, read it, or do something with it, share it. So is it something informative? Is it something funny? Is it something where is it great to listen to, or is it just something great to watch? So you need a platform to direct people to where everything goes to. So LinkedIn's great to put information on, as is Twitter, Instagram, and all the rest of it. But what we also want is that still doesn't tell people where you are. So the fundamental thing you need is a website. Now, your website needs to have some form of a blog or some means of putting media on it on a regular basis. And then what you then want is what we call an inverted funnel. Now, the inverted funnel is at the top of the funnel. So if we're looking at it like that, is the website. And the bottom of the funnel are your different social media platforms. So we could have LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, whatever, across it. And what you want to do is share information across these platforms. So like I said, a primary one I use is LinkedIn. If you look at any of my posts on LinkedIn, you'll find a large proportion of them will take you off LinkedIn and it will direct you to my website. Now, I do that on purpose because I want to take you off that platform where you can go somewhere else. And the more clicks I've got on my website, the more relevant Google will see it. From an SEO point of view, it sees it as being more relevant and it'll rank me higher than anybody else. If you're a body shop and you have competitors, having people come to your website and generating loads and loads and loads of traffic, Google and Bing, the search engines, will look at why you're getting such a volume of traffic and why it's seen as being relevant. And just purely on the basis of volume, it'll go, it must be relevant because people won't be finding it otherwise. So you've got somebody spending £500 a month on Google ad links, you're spending nothing and you'll be higher in terms of your rankings. But it's all about creating that audience. Well, if you can generate that from one social media source like LinkedIn, you can also do the same through Twitter. So what I do through my website as a primary platform is that I'll do a post on something, I'll share it across the different social media platforms, and I can test and measure which ones are beneficial and which ones are getting traffic. And it's weird as well because I can actually measure the demographics as well. So I can look at it on certain platforms like Twitter. And the people who come to my website through Twitter are generally of the age range of 45 to 55. Now, when I do a link to LinkedIn, the actual cross-section of people is really weird. So I can do some post and the actual age group is somewhere between 20 and 30. There's another age group where if I do something to do with, for example, insurance law, instantly it goes over 50 to somebody around the age of Richard. And generally it's because they're a bit more world wisely and they've been around the block once or twice and may have studied law. That's me get out, Richard.
Yeah.
So I can then look at who's looking at what, where. That's a very powerful tool. So for those of you there who've got your own website, how many of you use Google Analytics?
It's installed. I haven't actually looked at it.
No.
I'm aware of it.
So
Yeah, you do.
was that Shane then, or was it Kevin? Was it Kevin who said he's aware of it?
Yeah, I've been
Yeah,
I've
I
been
use
told to get it, but it's one of those things where you just the technology now is just it's going so fast. There's so many things. It just bamboozles me head.
Right. So a key thing in business is if you can't do it yourself, give it to somebody who can.
Funnily
Simple as
enough,
that. Funny enough, is it Gary Chew?
no. Long story, but since the last training that you did, I try to do everything myself.
It's a brilliant way of doing it, even if you can't do it.
Tried, but I mean, years ago when I first started the business, 2009, I built my own, but that was a learning curve. Then you learn to get somebody to do one for you, and I've had my current website for around about about 7, 8 years now, and it's just getting built on and built and built and built. So I'm aware that you need SEO. I am not a literate kind of guy. I cannot write SEO for the love nor money. So I've come to the conclusion I cannot write SEO. So I took your advice and tried to look for somebody. But who do you trust? So my website guy is a fantastic friend. He's got a fantastic business. But the cost that's he wants, because I know I want to do a new website, but my website's not getting seen. So I'm like, I can't learn it all myself. I haven't got time. But trying to find somebody who you trust is difficult.
Yeah. So how do you find out who you can trust? Look at reviews is one side of it.
That's the
Yeah.
only side. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you've got that, and then you've got one-to-one recommendations. So it's another one. So again, I recommend Gary Chu. He's at Redline Media. I'll give you a link to it as well. And they do whole packages from simple stuff to doing your whole website, doing all your social media and all the rest of it. Now you think you might not be able to write stuff for SEO, but you were surprised, you know. So you've got things.
You'll be surprised at my English.
So I'll give you an example. So there's different tools you can use.
It's also, to me, to find, as a service-based industry, as we all in, I'm not full-on body shop. It's predominantly smart repairs. What would you write? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
What
Dead
topics
easy.
is there about?
Dead easy. Dead easy. So what tools do you use and what you do? Start off with the spray gun, can't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's one thing. So what you want to do is you get yourself a piece of paper and you write down every single tool that you use. That's one. When people come to use your services, what do they come for? Why do they come to you? Have they had some type of incident? So have they scratched the car? Have they dented it? Has it been in a car park? Is it somebody's dropped on it? Is it stone chips? Is it debris? Is it tree sap? Is it something that, so I'd go through all the possible ways of a vehicle being damaged and write a note of what it is. Now, the reason why you're doing this, these are keywords that somebody might put into a search engine to find somebody. So have they got a bumper cracked? So what parts of a car could be damaged? Bumper, headlamp, wing, bonnet, door. Has it got a cigarette burn in the seat? That's coming rarer now, to be honest. But, you know, is it interior trim that's damaged? So think about the different parts of the car. Put my phone on silent. I forgot. So if you want to know how to do advertising and marketing right, you want to be on TV. So I'm on Cara West tonight and I'm doing this instead. Everybody's texting me, going, "Are you watching it?" I'm like, "No, because I'm not. I'm not."
What time's it start,
Go on,
Tim?
record. I'm watching after this.
Yeah, it's on at 8 o'clock.
Oh,
that-
I missed it.
Yeah, well, that's it. So people are texting me now, saying, "I'm just watching you," and I'm like, "That's what I'm like." And I thought I put my phone
I'm watching
quiet.
you too.
Amit,
I'm
are you
watching
able
you too.
to are you able to take it offline and share it?
Well, I've just got my skybox. I don't know if there's a way that I can point my phone at the TV while Tim's on it, and then I'll WhatsApp it to you. I don't know how long that Tim's segment is.
Yeah, don't do that. We'll be here all night doing it. We'll be watching it, even though. But it also brings us on to an important thing. So creating this audience is a very, very powerful thing, but it's great creating an audience, but there's no point of an audience if they can't find you. So you need to direct your audience back to who you are or who you are as a business, which is generally the way I do it, is through your website. So what you have then is something called alpha tags and meta tags. So these things I'm telling you about in terms of what people might put into it are your alpha tags and your meta tag. So an alpha tag is the key. Told you this is the header. And the metadata explains what it is that about. So for me, it could be total loss. That might be the primary part of the data. And the metadata might be me explaining to you what a total loss is. Now, you don't necessarily need to write something from an SEO point of view. All you need to do is put content out there. That's it. Now, if you want to work out how to develop your content, things you can do if you start getting clever with it is, if you're across various social media platforms like Twitter or Instagram, put in the hashtag for the day and just see what's trending. And it could be anything. Now, what I would do to be quite canny with it is, if there's some type of festival on, then what I would do is, it could be Glastonbury. I might write an article, or I might have something that's pre-drafted ready to stick on my blog on my website. And in my header, I'd put, be careful driving down to hashtag Glastonbury today. Now, the thing is then, all the people who are going down to Glastonbury putting a hashtag into it, they're not looking for Motor Claim Guru, they're just going to Glastonbury. But now I've got hashtag Glastonbury, be careful driving, don't have a hashtag accident, anything like that in a car. And people who aren't looking for me, find me. Just hang on. Won't be 2 seconds.
Tim Shaw's on the phone.
Yeah, he's a good mate, actually. Get rid of that.
So you're going to tell us now, you keep interrupting us, what the actual bit that you're involved is and what the outcome was.
What on CarOS?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, what it was they had a Porsche 911 in, and because I'm a massive Porsche fan and an expert on the brand, they were seeking advice, first of all, in terms of resourcing parts for the vehicle, because it was on a 73, the car. And a 73 Tiger is really, really rare. So, and there's differences in terms of the panels on it. There's some panels you can kind of make fit and bodge to fit, but then there's other ones that are specific to that year. So that was one of the main issues for it. Then the next thing was in terms of how they go about repairing it, because it had quite extensive corrosion on it. And then there was also concern that it didn't look quite straight. So they don't have resource to be able to check the straightness of the car at the workshops at CarOS. So I helped and assisted with that, and I found a repairer that was based in Birmingham, where they were very kind enough to allow me to use their jig. So I stuck it on a jig, measured it, and that in itself was hilarious, because the people who were there from, I won't say any names because it'd be unfair to. Well, actually not unfair to, just they'd never actually experienced it. They really enjoyed it as well. They'd never seen a car being put on a jig. So they'd never seen a car being straight and never seen a car being measured. And what I helped them understand was how to recreate an accident because from the damage that's on a vehicle, from the amount of deformation it's got, and what gaps would close up, and work out the direction of travel on it, just to help them work out that they needed to kind of basically get it on another jig and pull it straight, and where they would need to pull it from. But this vehicle, in the promotional stuff they've done for tonight, they've actually said it was like one of the most challenging. It was that close to never being done. It was like absolutely, there was even after, well, partly after my intervention, they were just going to pull the plug and say we can't do it, because I was explaining to them how bad it was and how out of a line and what they needed to do it. So it wasn't in a great state. It needed a lot of pulling to get it straight. And then as part of, no, I won't say that. I'll just, yeah, I've got to be careful. It was hard work for them, we'll say that. They definitely had their work cut out in what they needed to do for it, and there was so much effort. Part of what they do is they have a certain amount of time to work on them, and budgets as well. And the skill set of the people working on it was immense for what they needed to do, because it was like you wouldn't have wanted to do it. You definitely wouldn't have wanted to do it because you'd just been there forever, just going like, that ain't fitting, still ain't fitting, still ain't fitting. What do we do with it? But they got it bang on. So yeah, they did an amazing job with it.
Cool.
All right, Richard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to be careful. Be careful what I say with this being recorded. You see, if it goes on YouTube, so it's and technically, it's great this because it's actually. So I'm not publishing it tonight, but at this point, even telling you guys, I'd have to be careful of what I tell you because of an NDA. Because until it's actually aired, we shouldn't even say they're all right with it because I've checked them, but I shouldn't even be saying that I'm on it yet. Until it goes out. But it's good working with them. But I said I'm also on one next month as well, so I've done more than one with them, and hopefully I'm working with them next year. But this in itself is a good example of marketing. So how I've gone from being Tim Keller, who used to work for an insurance company and didn't have his own company, to nicely LinkedIn for it. Go. So you get to a situation where you're like this. So to get from working for somebody to then being in a situation where, you know, the Great British Motor Show, you've got absolutely thousands of people reaching out in the audience, to being on stage with National Geographic, and basically the way Tim was extremely kind the way he did it as well, because he interviewed me in such a way, whereas he maybe tell people about what I do. Now, that for me as a platform to market my services is immense. But you've got to look at how do you get to that point. Now, a way of getting to that point, I'll tell you what, there we go. So I'm going to show you where it started from. So going back, if you look up here, you'll see this is 2004, 2015. What I did was, this stemmed, and this is why I'm such an advocate of LinkedIn. This stemmed from me putting things out on LinkedIn that was quite contentious, because it was basically ripping the living daylights out of an insurance company, and also Copart, the insurance company for disposing of a vehicle without consent, and then Copart for using it like it's a tractor around their yard, throwing stuff in the back of it. So this journalist called James Foxall, who works for the Telegraph, then contacted me and said, interested in these comments you put on LinkedIn, is it something you can tell me a bit more about? So I went, yeah. Now what that then did was, if you think about it from an advertising point of view, if I was to want to spend money advertising and get half a page in a broadsheet, just that article that size would cost £5,000. So what I've got there is £5,000 worth of advertising for free in a national broadsheet newspaper. So I thought, I like that. Hello, Mr. Foxall. Really appreciate that article you did think. So, would you like some more information about insurance companies? So, do you want to know about the investigations that are going on through the Competition and Markets Authority about no claims bonuses and about premiums and things like that? Yeah, I would, Tim, but I don't really know an awful lot about it. That's great, because I do. Would you like a load of information? You can have it for free. That sounds like a brilliant idea, that. Thank you, Tim. Now, the thing is, what you've got is you've got a newspaper that wants content, because it's not got content, it can't sell the paper, and it's not got advertising revenue coming off it. So if they're driving an income from advertising revenue, it's got to have something inside it to make people want to read it and buy it. Well, that costs the paper money. So where do you get the content from? Well, you need a journalist. The journalist needs to earn money. Where's the journalist get his content from? I'll tell you what, if you've never written for anything, trying to find content to write for something on a regular basis is really, really hard. I've wrote for Body Shop magazine now for nearly 2 years, and it can be hard thinking about what to stick in there for my next article. Imagine doing it weekly. Absolute nightmare. And not only that, so if I write for Body Shop magazine as an example, I do that because I enjoy it. I do it for the fun of it, and I do it to like to educate people, and I also do it because I know it benefits Body Shop magazine because, like I said, it gives them content. Imagine it being your occupation. So you've got to find content, not just on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. You've got to do it daily. It's a really hard graft. Imagine then somebody coming up to you with a silver platter going, I know you need content. Would you like some for free? Tell you what, I'll have some of that. And that's what journalists do. Going back to LinkedIn, things I do is I look at researchers, journalists, editorial assistants, programmers, presenters, any aspect of media that you can think of, whether it be on TV, radio, or a newspaper. I'd go, so good example, pick up a car magazine and find all the editors or journalists, find them all on LinkedIn and add them. If you've got something to do with social affairs, find every journalist or researcher that works for them. If you've got local newspapers, find out who the editors are, the sub-editors are, the assistants are, the journalists. Develop a relationship with them. So go through every bit of it. So what I did then is I developed a relationship with James, and I went, right, do you want some more information? Here you go, crack on. So for example, like with Tim, so I was presenting at an event in Ireland, and that's how I got to know Tim. Now, the way I actually got to know Tim was because I should have actually been there with Fuzz. Now, I didn't know Tim, but I did know Fuzz. The way I knew Fuzz was through LinkedIn. I just sent him a message and started talking to him. So twigged on, it could be somebody who could help me. From that, I spent the weekend from doing the presenting, spent a lot of time with Tim. Tim then found out what I do and how I help people and thought, do you know what? Yeah, he's an interesting guy. We could probably do something with him. It's took me over a year and a bit of talking to him, and I would naturally call him a close friend. I talk to him pretty much every week. And they're all lovely blokes, but Tim is lovely. And he's been very kind in what he's done for me in terms of helping me get to where I'm going. But there's bits there where it's just been very fortuitous that I've had the opportunity to kind of get this situation happening. But again, it's through, had I have not found people on LinkedIn, it had never happened, because I wouldn't have met Tim if I hadn't have met Fuzz, and I wouldn't have met Fuzz if I'd not been on LinkedIn. So it's finding people and targeting them. You never know where it's going to end up at. And again, thinking about the branding side of it, if you notice, out the 4 people sat up there,
Who stands out?
Yeah, who stands out? You're not going to miss me, are you? So let me just get back in there. So which one's which? So again, it's just kind of working out how to make things benefit you. Now, what happened then was, after having things being put into newspapers, everything you do by way of creating an audience, you need to leverage. So just because you got one thing that's happened and gone well for you, don't just sit on your laurels and go, that was great, I've got something in there I can do, that's it now, it's cracked. Doesn't work like that. What you want to do is carry on leveraging it. So if you do manage to get something in a local paper, what I would then do is, so it could be something where your company might sponsor a local football team or netball team or kids in the local area, or even something like an amateur dramatic society. It could be anything you can think of in your local area where you might be doing something to help them, assist them, sponsor them, help them do what they need to do. And it could be a good news story. You could do that and then go, right, let's speak to a local journalist of a local newspaper. Let's create some type of relationship there, and let's give them a good news story because they're looking for it. From that, they might do something. It could end up in a paper. Well, the next thing I'd be doing then is I'd be contacting the local radio station going, have you seen this thing in the paper over here? Have you covered this? I'd get them attracted into it. And all the time I'd keep trying to generate other things or other connections that would create interest at the background for it. Now, for me, what happened with me was that it went from having articles in the newspaper to then people finding out that I am the only go-to resource as an insurance expert to do with consumer claims. It then meant that I had researchers off Rip Off Britain contacting me saying, we need information on this, can you help us? So from that, then I ended up on BBC One on Rip Off Britain. Again, from a marketing point of view, you could think it's brilliant. It actually didn't attract much custom to my website because I monitored it, but it was great in terms of just getting awareness out there. Now, from there, where do you go from there? Well, that for me then is, again, it's doing what's happening tonight. So you're thinking like, I'm going to get millions of people watching me on TV. The funny part of it as well is that if you ever do see any type of TV, certainly when I was doing stuff with the BBC, it started off that I said, are you going to pay me? And they went, no. All right, fair enough. Can I promote my brand in any way? No, BBC, we need to remain impartial. So you're going to tell them where I'm from, aren't you? Well, we'll just say you're an insurance consultant. Right, okay. Can I wear any branded clothing? Nope. Okay, so you want me to come on and do a piece that's going to assist consumers telling people how bad insurance companies are, but you're not going to tell me, you're not going to allow me to tell you who my company is, what I do, who I am, or show me branding in any way. And I'm like, yeah, thanks for that. So I'm going to derive no benefit out of this whatsoever. You might think that, but I did. The fact I actually got on there meant my foot was through the door. So I spent a full day filming with them. They went, actually, quite good on camera. You're confident, you're easy to talk to, and you don't fluff anything up when we're going through your lines and stuff. And yeah, easy to work with that. And you're a useful resource as well. Do you mind if we use it in the future? Yeah, no problem. So it got to the second time I did it. And I went, the first time I did it, that was great. And, I appreciate what you've done. It's beneficial, but I can't do it for free. You'll need to pay me. And they got a bit tetchy. And they went, all right, yeah, well, yeah, we can do this. Well, like, right, we'll work it out. I went, well, it's either that or you say who I am and what I do. And you put your branding on there. Oh, we can't do that. Yeah, we'll pay you. Crack on. It's all right, so they'll pay me. So it got to the third time. I didn't tell them. I just put my t-shirt on and did it. So I got paid for it and got my brand on it. So now I'm doing some filming with them next month now. And they can't then go back on it because they're all like, well, yeah, he did it last time. It mustn't have been an issue because he had his branded t-shirt on and we paid him for it. And you kind of, and again, so you're pushing that thing out there. Now, for me, it's about people recognizing me with what I do. Well, unless I've got some type of visual link or I've got some type of auditory link saying this guy works for Motor Claim Guru, that's who he is, it's like you can't get that connection. So that's what I'm trying to do with it. But all the time, what I've done is I've started off with something really small, which is comments on LinkedIn, to create an audience that's got loads of people talking about stuff, to journalists wanting content, to researchers seeing the newspaper articles and going, that's interesting, to everyone, it's something goes from somewhere to somewhere else. That's leveraging your marketing. Now, every time you're doing that, you're expanding your audience. Now, the faster you can expand your audience, the more traction you get, and it becomes more cost beneficial. So it ends up costing you less in advertising and marketing than what it would do if you pay for it. Everybody okay so far?
Yeah, sadly, I don't think I'm going to be a TV personality.
Face for radio. Yeah. A face for a beach in Hawaii, mate.
Yeah.
But you never know, though. And this is a weird thing as well, because you never know. And on the other side, you don't necessarily need to be either. It's all about, you don't necessarily need to be on TV or radio or in the paper, but getting something out there where people can attach what you do as a service to what you put out there as either, like I said, a visual trigger or an auditory one. About people recognizing your brand and associating that with whatever you do. And that's the key to it. But it's, if you look at what I've done there from where I started to where it is now, that isn't something that's happened in 6 months or a year. It basically took me from 2014 to now to continually carry on pushing marketing yourself. and it's you know you can't just stop. So even up to like last week, I was still at car shows. Which is something I'm going to get into. I'm just trying to get. Do you know anybody know where that feedback's coming from? Try again, see if it
You
is it.
get
Yeah.
the reverb, but
Yeah, it was just a weird one. I think it might have been Shane. Not again. So, what amazes me is for body shops. So, when's the last time any of you went to a car show?
Last weekend.
Hey, Debs, you're always on it.
But we also
Always-
did go into the Comic-Con thing as well.
You know, I really want to go to a Comic Con, right?
They do it if you go to the November one, the Lancashire Classic Car Show. It's usually on at the same time as Comic-Con in the NEC.
Right.
You can
Yeah.
get a ticket for that and swing in.
Yeah, definitely for that one.
It had some interesting vehicles in the Comic-Con as well.
Well, that's it. You get a lot of TV stuff from it.
Yeah, they were like
But-
steampunk ones, and
Yeah.
they had like a little R2D2 running around and playing the Cantina song and stuff.
There's stuff like Marvel Comics and things, but it is another one. So, for example, one of my clients was a very famous film director, and he was the guy who did Kick-Ass. So I went to inspect a car, and I ended up going to a place where all the cars from Kick-Ass were in. It's like, so again, opportunities like that just kind of land on your feet, and you can't predict it's going to happen. But then, if I then, because I said to him, do you mind if, because I was valuing his car for him. Actually, the guy who it wasn't there, but it was his assistant. So I said, am I all right to put these photographs on social media? And he went, yeah, no problem. I tell you what, the instant I put those photographs on social media showing pictures of the cars with the connection to the film, it got more likes and kind of retweets and everything else than any stuff I'd done myself, just because people knew what the films were. So stuff like that, seeing stuff that recognize, it could be anything where people recognize it and want to share it with other people. But going back to the car shows, so if you lot repair cars, where do you think people are going to go to if they want to talk about cars all day long or want to restore them? So what I found interesting last week was I went to the NEC, to the Classic Car Restoration Show. There's no body shops there. And I'm walking around and I literally,
yes,
so
there
again,
was. We
well,
were there.
well, you were, but not many though, was it? Like one. Was you there?
Yeah, the Porsche, grey Porsche.
Yeah, but that wasn't. So right. So was that on a stall that said Fiorano Cars Body Shop?
No, it didn't say Auto Body Technic, but it did have the restoration story.
Yeah, and I had the restoration story. And the thing is, and the guy, so it's Lord something, isn't it?
No, I'm not connected to the charity at all. It's part of a charity.
So is it Amit's car, the grey one?
No, it's Bob's car.
Bob's car.
I don't work with Amit. Amit and me are just friends.
Oh, I know that. Yeah, no, but I didn't know that the car was Amit's or whether it was Bob's.
No, it's Bob's.
Yeah, Bob's got good taste. Yeah, I think me and Bob are going to become best mates because I need that car.
He'd
Absolutely gorgeous thing.
He'll sell anything.
I bet he would back. I can't afford to pay it. I want it for free. Actually, no. I'll swap him for consultancy services. Is what I'll do.
From now till your day.
Yeah, probably for the rest of my life. Sell my soul to Bob. So, but stuff like that. So, yes. So again, this is a good kind of example of relationships. So, Bob has got his car there, which is a resto modded Porsche 911 that's beautiful. Bob has a body shop that does resto mods and other stuff as well. I'm in the industry. I know Bob, and I didn't know that this was Bob's car, and I still didn't know on that stand that it was a body shop. So isn't that crap marketing? When there's potentially, you've got millions of people going through the NEC, looking at the car, taking photographs of it, and there's nothing behind that car to say you restored it.
It wasn't obvious. There was on the car. He had about 7 days to prep for it. So he did try
Give him
hard.
his due. Yeah.
He did try hard. He wasn't there the day that you went.
Yeah.
which I did bollock him about, but he
So I'd have had a great big frigging sign at the back of the car to say who restored it. Because I took a photograph of it, because I'm a massive Porsche 911 fan. So if I took a photograph of it and then I shared it on my social media, which I did, imagine how many other people who went to that show would have done the same thing because it's a beautiful car and the marketing opportunity it's been missed. And then who else could you have cross-shared it with in terms of who else went, in terms of different media people? You know, people on the TV might have done it. So that's a massive missed opportunity there because I didn't know. Like I said, and I actually stood in front of it and took a photo of it. And like I said, and it was through the charity, like I said,
he was an exhibiting virgin. He got 25 minutes of my advice, and that was it. No, honestly, it was a great opportunity, and while he didn't maybe maximize it, he did do a huge amount more than doing nothing.
oh yeah,
There's
yeah, no, it's I'm fully aware of what goes into getting them ready for a show. It's a nightmare and preparation, like I said, and it's always the first time you do any type of show. When you walk into it, you're always underprepared. You never do, and you come from the end of it and you're going, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I do this? I should have done that. I should have done this. And then you do another show, and then you go, oh, yeah. So I've got some really random stuff in my garage as a result of doing shows. So in fact, actually, to the point where partly because of COVID, I've got a gazebo in my garage, I've got a gazebo for doing shows for when I go out and present stuff to myself, but it's better in the back garden when the missus wants it. But it's cheaper to run it through the business. So I got told, we need a gazebo, do we? Right, well, that's advertising and marketing. The next time I go to a car show, then I'm going to sit there on the one chair with a 15-foot by 15-foot gazebo in the middle of it. You'll spot me.
The
But stuff
orange.
like that- well, no, it's not. It's black, mate. No. Very
Mr. Trick.
tempting. For some reason, I think the neighbours might not have been happy if we had a bright orange 15-foot by 15-foot gazebo at the back of the house.
Never know, they're kids or grandkids.
So, yeah, no, there's no kids there, definitely, but it's like, yeah, no, it had to be, because I was going to stick my branding on it. And she's like, no, just,
Stick your name along the top, and then if you're on a flight path or something, you'll be able to see it.
yeah. With my bright orange t-shirt on,
the only guru visible from space.
definitely. Got to be done, got to be recognised. I'll be there waving it and going, yeah, go on, just promote that back down on Earth somewhere and tell everybody. But I just think stuff like that in terms of, I think it was such a missed opportunity for so many body shops, certainly the refinishers crew, but certainly through like National Body Shop Repair Association. They should be there banging the drum to say, when you want your vehicle repaired, we've got a whole network of repairers who can repair it at your body shops. But independent body shops as well. It's like, so, and what was interesting was when I went to the show, I didn't do it for the pleasure of looking at cars, even though that is my pleasure. I was literally knackered. I spent all day, I went around something like 200 stands talking to absolutely everybody, telling my services, telling them what I'm doing, saying how I can help them be beneficial to them. And the thing is that, and again, this is a weird thing as well. I go every year. So bearing in mind that you've had somebody who's only met me once a year, so many people at the show recognise me. I went round, oh, I spoke to you last year. I remember talking to you. Yeah, I thought what you said then was interesting. And again, this is the consistency of it. You can't just go and do something once. You need to keep banging away at it. And whether that's putting something on your social media, or it's physically going to an event or to a show, you need to keep doing it all the time, constantly keep banging that drum so people recognise what you are and what you do. And again, so when I went to the show, I went round and I had I actually had a shirt on rather than a t-shirt on, but I had my branding on. And again, there was loads of people recognised me from previous years. And again, it was like the Vision event. So I went to the Vision event on the Wednesday. So I know you said you wanted to chat about that, Richard. And it was, I'm not necessarily a fan of what they do, but from the event they held, it was absolutely awesome. But this again kind of links to the branding side of it, that I walked into that event, and it's always kind of a similar reaction. Virtually every single person who was at that event recognised me, knew who I was. And yet in 2014, I worked for an insurance company. So how have I got to a point where I've gone from knowing nobody to knowing everybody in the space of 7 or 8 years. And the only way I've done it is through that I've been doing things that have gained audiences and gained attraction to the content I'm sticking out there, creating debate and also interacting with the people that have been looking at whatever post I've done. So then they recognize what I wrote on an article to a photograph of me, so they can see me visually and know what I look like, but also then be branding. So there's people approached me at the event, said, well, I've never ever met you, but I've spoken to you on LinkedIn for the last 7, 8 years. I feel like I know you. Well, again, it's just because you can't afford to put things out on social media and not interact with your audience. You need to have that interaction all the time. So yeah, get cracking on with it. Get doing it. Is there anything else you lot would like to know? Do you want me to go more into more depth in terms of social media and content and stuff? Or should we wind it up? Because I can talk for England and go on as long as you want if you want. It's not a problem.
Sadly, I am going to have to go because I need to get my supper on.
Yeah.
On my
Because what I've done is, in terms of, like, I didn't prepare anything tonight, so it's a bit awkward. And in terms of the headers that I've gone through what I wanted to go through, basically, just to kind of cover it in terms of, the primary thing is creating audiences and interaction. And then once you've got that, you need to direct them back to the source of who you are, which is basically your website, if you're using that as a promotional tool. And that all comes through having an inverted funnel. So you need to be at the top of the funnel, share it out, and then when it gets out there, it needs to come back up the funnel, back to who you are at the website, and then generate into traffic.
So can I give people a couple of interesting takeaways? So I can't share my screen, so I don't know how easy.
I can do it if you want.
No, that's right. I can grab my camera. I can't see my camera. It's got a thing. Hold on. Let's just...
I can make the administrator if you want.
No, hold on. Let me just choose the virtual background. Background and effects. None. Whoa, it's backwards. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's all right. No, we can see it. That's perfect, mate.
No, it's fine. We can see it.
Yeah, so basically Donald Miller wrote Build a Story Brand, which is a really interesting thing. It talks about building a story for your brand. So that really goes to what Tim is saying, that you build it through engagement and it not being about selling, you providing useful information. And if you just bear with me a second, I have lots of books, but
I'll make you host and share a screen if you want.
No, it's all right.
He doesn't want to show Pornhub.
I know, I was thinking that myself, mate. What was that? Nude midgets doing what?
Yeah. You wish. You wish. Oh dear. No, I can't. There's another really good book, which is a very, very similar story of building brands and building engagement. I can't think of the name of it, unfortunately, but it's taking it away from direct selling and moving it more into how you can engage with your audience. And with Body Shop, it's all about building long-term engagement. One of the examples of this other one is a swimming pool company who do glass fiber swimming pools. So typically only five in your lifetime. So the whole point was about how do you get that engagement? How do you build that trust when there's only going to be a single purchase? So like servicing a car, you're doing it every year. Body Shop, you're probably only doing it maybe once in a lifetime if you're lucky. So it's about how to get to that point of being the expert in your field when you've never actually interacted with them before. So that's just a couple of bits.
Building trust is a key thing. So ways you can build trust are, what would you do if something went wrong? So for example, or if you don't deliver a service. So part of where you can give a give trust to somebody would be, for example, if I was to sell my services as a consultant, what I'd say is that if you don't find the benefits of what I do, I'll refund you. I'll give you all your money back. Could be an example. You go, oh, that's a brave thing to say. So if I have your training, Tim, if I don't make as much money as it's cost me for your training in the space of a month, you'll refund me. I could go, yeah. Now, giving somebody that reassurance is more likely to make them want to pay for you. Because they go, well, actually, I've got nothing to lose with that. And the thing is when I have done it in the past, nobody has ever come back to me and gone, actually, do you know what? I thought your training was crap. I've not learned anything from it. I've not earned any profit out of it. It's not been beneficial. So in some ways, you kind of, it's a subconscious psyche thing where it's just that reassurance they needed. And also they might even feel guilty by coming back to you saying, I thought it was crap, and didn't find any benefit from it. So are there things that you can do as a service that will give somebody that reassurance? So we guarantee the repairs on your vehicle for its lifetime. So if there is anything wrong with it, we'll fix it. That's quite reassuring. Yeah, well, in the event that you need us, what we'll do is we'll actually come to your house, we'll pick up your car, we'll deliver it for you, we'll clean it, we'll valet it, and we'll make sure it's only repaired to OEM standards. We'll make sure that when we repair it, we only fit OEM parts on it. So if your insurance company wants to use second-hand parts, we won't. That sounds quite good. That gives me confidence. Well, yeah, we're here to serve you, not the insurance company. That gives me confidence. So all of these things, it might be a one-off thing, but you're developing a relationship on the basis of one purchase. It gives reassurance. We only use the best products on your vehicle. The products we use are, and you tell people what you use. We're sure if you go away and you check on what these products are and how good they are in the marketplace, you'll find they're the best out there. We only use them. That's great. That's what I want to hear. This is sounding good. This is sounding like somebody's going to look after my car. It's my pride and joy. It's my second most expensive purchase next to my house. That's good.
The other book, just to interrupt, is called They Ask, You Answer.
Yeah.
It's very
I've got that one.
Yeah.
It's a good one. And it's also about, there's another one similar to that, and it's like They Ask and You Serve. So one of the things I always recommend to people is make yourself useful. So again, so looking at it in terms of from what I've done from having articles in different places, and the reason why they happen to end up being there has been as a result of that I've made myself useful. So there's been different industry magazines, and certainly in the insurance world, there's magazines that normally you would think would never want to go anywhere near me because I'm basically criticizing them. And what's interesting is that if you have the likes of these industry magazines, you would think that people writing for them would know what they're talking about. But you might well find the journalists who work for them they haven't got a clue. So when they get to a situation where they need more information to validate an opinion, for example, they don't know where to go to. So a lot of these magazines come to me and go like, can you give us a bit of background on this? And they end up teaching about insurance. So all of a sudden, then you've got people in the industry who wouldn't normally contact you or even want you in the magazine, and you're getting quoted. And it's great if you want to wind them up. You put stuff out there, and it's like, again, it's when you start telling people truths and they're put it in a magazine that wouldn't normally do it, it creates debate and it gets more attraction, and you can, in some ways, it's like getting a bit more notorious. So you can do it from a positive side of it, a negative side of it. But again, there's an old saying in the past that should be great if I can remember what it is. There's no such thing as bad marketing, as long as it's out there, or bad promotional stuff. If you get in the press, if it helps promote you, there's no bad thing against it. What was that then? Like, oh, it's his phone. Had a saxophone popping out of nowhere then. So just before I wind up, so I'm just going to show you this as well. Like I said, 'cause I'm struggling a bit tonight, my brain's tired as well. So I can send these to you. So things like how to get the right customer. So a lot of things that we've gone through tonight will be encapsulated in this article. But it's also about needing to be consistent in your marketing. But also, like I said, things like auditory links. So a good example of using that is, who remembers the advert, Smash Makes Mash? And if you hear the advert, Smash Makes Mash, can you actually hear the sound of the actual music in your head as you say it? I can. Wrong ones. Right, there we go. That's what I was after. So we've got this article as well. Again, it's Position Your Body Shop Sustainability. Again, it's about talking about the branding side of it and the marketing side of it. So again, I can send that out to you if you want it. But you need to make sure that you've got differentiators that help you differentiate yourself away from your competitors. You need to know your marketplace and you need to research it. You need to look at what services you provide and where does it fit. Do you have a target marketplace? Is there a certain age group? Is there a certain location? Because the one thing you also need to look at with advertising and marketing as well is that you need to test and measure it. So you might do something like do Facebook adverts and spend 100 quid. It might not derive any income. And you might do the same on something like Instagram or TikTok, and it might go absolutely mental. So anything that you spend money on, whether it be through doing leaflet drops, adverts in the local paper, radio, TV, social media, whatever you spend on that advertising, you need to have some type of link that helps you work out what custom you've got as a result of spending money there. And then if you drive more custom out of that resource that you've spent money on compared to something else that didn't, take the money out of the stuff that didn't and stick it in the money that does, and spend more money on the stuff that works. Because what you'll find is that you might find stuff that you didn't think about that might work, and by accident find it does. So like I said, I do leaflets. Generally, I'm against using leaflets, but if I go to a car show, I will stick a leaflet on every single car when I walk around. And it's amazing how many people pick them up and read them. And if they, and generally, so now if I put those leaflets through a letterbox, I would guarantee you every single leaflet will end up in the bin. Car show, totally different. So what works in one place might not work somewhere else. So social media, same thing. You might do stuff on Facebook. It might work in one social network. It might not work somewhere else. Same with LinkedIn. So going back to Google Analytics, Kevin, what's beneficial from it is that you can look onto your website and you can work out the demographics of people who are coming on your website. You can look at their age, you can look at the sex, you can see where they live, you can see how they're finding your website, where they've come from, how they click through from a different website. So you can use all those different things so that if you do go on somewhere like Facebook, you can put it to your target media and go, I'm looking for people of this age group, this demographic in this area. And Facebook will then target those people for you to make sure you're spending more wisely. And that's where the analytical side of it comes in. Other things you can do, which I didn't cover before. So I'm getting back on the stream now because my brain's working again. So looking on the social media side of it is you can use tools like this, which is called Ubersuggest. That's where it is. It's in that one. That's why I can't see it. I need to get out of that. So when you were talking about the SEO side of it and didn't know what to write,
Yeah.
that's what you can also do is, rather than just kind of trying to link things to accident damaged cars, what you can do is look at what your competitors are doing. So for example, I'll type in accident damaged car. And what Ubersuggest will do it will bring up anything related to an accident damaged car. Or it should do. It gives you a ranking in terms of SEO difficulty. So it's saying it's fairly easy. What volume? Like I said, let's get rid of that. So I've not practiced this before I've done it. So I don't know what it's going to do. And I got my Zoom thing in the middle of it. So what it's doing there, and it shows you the value attached to it as well on a pay-per-click point of view. So the key things that people look for related to an accident damage car is what to do with the car after an accident. If you go on my website, guess what I've got on it? What to do in the event of a claim, what to do in the event of an accident. Accident damage car for sale. 6 dead in car crash. Not a very pleasant thing. Buyers of accident damage cars, beware. Which car's more damaged after an accident? So what it's done there is it's showing that on volume, so all the rest of them are like 390, 390, 320. The most searched for term relating to accident damage car is 3,600 is what to do with the car after an accident. So would that be a good idea to do a blog on your webpage?
Yeah.
So on your web, so actually on your website through a blog, do a page on what to do with a car after an accident. So if
There's
I
actually another site that's very similar to that called Answer the Public.
So if I drop into this again, so if you look at my website, the first thing to the left is what to do after an accident. So it's literally the first page that comes up after you go from the about page. So I know it's what people search for and I can look at how many people measure it. But again, when you look through the actual things that are off on my web page, what you'll find are things like how-tos, what ifs, what to do's, what your rights are. So for example, if you go down here, you'll see how to. So anything that directs people on how to do stuff is great. That's why YouTube's fantastic. If you go into YouTube and type in how to, it'll bring you up millions of different things. So find things that will make it useful for people to do a how to. It could even be how to repair a dent or a scratch or a scuff or take stains out the car or how to clean your car. So all of these things from a SEO point of view are fantastic. But things telling people what they're entitled to, like I said, no, I think I'm a victim of fraud. There you go, got something on that. What's my rights if I'm on a non-fault accident? Your rights. So I look at key headers, but what you can do with Ubersuggest, okay, so think of something related to your business and we'll stick it in Ubersuggest. How to be a millionaire before you're 35, eh, Kev? You stuffed that out, you mate.
I'm stuffed, well stuffed.
Yeah, so what can you, so you said about you struggling with SEO, so what can you think of related to your business that you do, that you sell your services as?
I don't know, something like, a scuffed bumper,
Okay, we'll try that then. We'll stick that in.
someone's hit a garden gate and
So we'll type in scuff bumper. What it says. Oh yeah, bagger.
you have to pay.
Well, no, I need to log into it. I've logged back out of it ages ago. Hang on. Well, let me do it. Because I've logged out of it, won't let me do it probably.
You have to put it under the UK as well, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'll come out of it. You get the gist anyhow. So basically, yeah, you can use tools like that to help you out, and it'll give you different things you can stick in the content of what you do. So I reckon on that point, I'm going to finish.
Thank you very much.
You all right? Do you find it beneficial?
Mhm.
You've all been mega quiet tonight, so I've had the interaction, so it's hard because I'm trying. Like I said, I've not arranged anything, organised, so the things to plan it out. So it's just me talking. And I'm just waffling.
I think one of the biggest things I took was building the trust, because I always think, I'll take photos of before and after, but a lot of people don't know what happens in the middle. Or like you said about the product is a really good one. I haven't thought about stuff like that, about saying to people, this is the products I use, because there's loads of cheap on the market, but some of the time we can be spending crazy money on lacquer kits and don't show it off.
So I'll give you an example of that. So the general thing that always pops for the refinishes crew that makes me want to blow my brains out is, it's all well and good you saying that, Tim, but I've still got this person down the road who'll do it cheaper. And the person just goes to where it's cheaper. I'm like, yeah, your marketing's wrong. Simple as that. And the reason why the marketing's wrong is because they're not saying, well, the reason why he's cheaper down the road is because he doesn't use a mega expensive lacquer kit like we do.
Yeah.
No
It's a
brainer.
different way of thinking, and I haven't seen that before, and it's good.
Yeah, no, and it is. So don't sell on price, sell on quality.
That's what I try to do. That's my whole vision and
So how do you
social media. That's what I
How
want
do you
to try and
articulate it then? So how do you articulate that to people?
by video content, really.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's good.
But my issue is arguably, and I know you probably disagree, but arguably, I've got my shop in probably the most difficultest area within the country in terms of the lowest unemployment. It's a big poverty area. And he's me trying to run a professional car care shop. So I cover a wide range of services, be it smart repairs, minor bodywork. I don't do nothing major. I do detailing work. I do interior repair. And trying to give this persona to customers, which I believe is right, there is still competition in and around me that have no website, that are still these cheaper guys, yet they're a hell of a lot more busier than what I am. Don't get me wrong. They're probably working 12, 14 hours a day where I'm not. So it's the footfall for me. And then I know I'm going to plead poverty here, and I don't want any sympathies, but like last year, my social media got hacked and I lost everything. So I had to start again. And it was like a bitter pill to swallow after putting a lot of emphasis upon social media and bringing up, like you say, bringing an audience so they see what kind of professionalism you are. Because the whole perceptions about smart repairers is not a very good one. So the bickering in between within our industry of what's right, what's wrong, that's bad, that's cheap, that's good, that's expensive, is unbelievable. So I try not to connect myself within all of that. I just concentrate on myself. But it seems to be becoming increasingly more difficult to get the right customer to come to my shop.
Right. So I'll give you a good example for that one then. I was just trying to find something when you were talking then as well. And I know exactly what you're saying with the social media side of it.
We've got to go. See you guys another time.
No,
See you guys.
See you in a bit, mate. Catch you in a bit. Give us a shout
All right.
tomorrow.
Yep.
So Wayne Beardmore is a brilliant example for that.
Well, can I just jump in there?
Yeah.
2015, I met Wayne through, I ordered something off his shop. And we build up a rapport and we're good friends now. Really good guy. Speak to him pretty much every week. Not so much recently. We've been really busy. And in 2015, I approached a media company to do a 2-minute video of a smart repair and a 2-minute video on me as a detailing business. And back in 2015, they wanted £1,200. To be honest, pardon me French, me arse fell out. I thought, Jesus Christ. So I thought, do you know what it is? I hate talking to a camera. I hate being in front of a camera. I'm not the most literate person in the world. I work with my hands. And I thought, I'm going to get a camera and I'm just going to talk to it. And I'm going to,
Yeah.
how do I show people coming from a mobile smart repair to then in 2015 getting a static shop was like starting a whole new business. So how do I attract customers coming to a little village that's got a small population coming from a big city in Newcastle? I have to do video. And for the first 3 years, my business operated purely from website and video content. So in 2015, me and Wayne had a conversation. Wayne phoned me and he goes, how dare you? No, sorry. I don't know how you dare do videos, Kev. And I swear to God, and Wayne will tell you the same. I says, Wayne, mark my words. If you don't do video content, you're going to get left behind.
Yep.
Look at Wayne now.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not saying like, oh, great Wayne, and, you know, I'm jealous or not. I feel proud of what he's generated himself because he's a good repairer and he does good content. But like, it was a big kick in my ass when one Saturday morning I was going to get my haircut, and then you get hacked.
Yeah.
And you lose everything. So fantastic. But I think, in all due respect, if Wayne gets hacked, that's a big part of his business.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I know that's awful to say, and it could happen to anybody. But at the end of the day, you've got to do something. And to me,
Yeah.
that's what I try to do something. But the footfall is just not coming through my shop whatsoever.
Well, part of the way you can get around being hacked, partly. The way that you do that is in terms of whatever content you put on social media, don't do it live. Back it up and record it. I've got 3. So, and I can go on this one on a major different direction, in do all sorts of stuff. I've got 2 separate hard drives that are remote off my PC, and then 2 hard drives on my PC. So I've got probably 5 terabytes in the 2 separate hard drives, and then 2 terabyte drives on my PC where I can store stuff and videos and things. What I then do as well is that I upload, like for example, now I'll upload these to YouTube. So can't hack YouTube.
Well, that's what I've changed since. I put all my videos on my website through YouTube.
Yeah, so that's what I do. So what I'll then do is when I do my website and do a blog for it, I'll do a link from YouTube to there. And again, so when I'm sharing it, so my website's the main platform, but what goes on it, it's like, if I showed you my computer, what's in my files and folders, you'll go, Jesus Christ, you've got a lot of crap on your computer, Tim. And I have literally got thousands and thousands of folders on it, covering lots of different things and topics. And so, but what I do is I don't have them on my computer. They're on my separate hard drive. So when I finish at the end of the night, I unplug my hard drive. Now, the thing is, I don't just have 1 hard drive, I've got 2 hard drives. So I have a hard drive backing up the hard drive that backs up the hard drive. Now, why do I do that? So like I said, and I've got tons and tons of information on it. And I've also got, like, I've got personal information data because I'm helping consumers. So from GDPR point of view, I've got to be very careful what I've got. I need to retain it for 6 years. I've got 100 gigabyte cloud storage on Google for my Gmails because I need to retain every single email that ever comes into me. So anything from a customer, I can't just delete it. I've got to basically save it. I can't also have a website that could get hacked. Now, if somebody hacks my Gmail, from a GDPR point of view, it's a nightmare. So where do you go with that? Well, in 2014, I started off my business. I created my website through Weebly. I used FastHost to host the actual domain name. But because it was a free website builder and then I paid for it, it gave me access to lots of different things. So I learned how to create the website, build the pages, do the SEO, do the alpha tags and meta tags, do the Google Analytics, do all the backlinks, suss it all out. And then also, I've not mentioned this lady tonight, actually. There's a young lady called Emily who was very kind to give me some resource where she's basically the queen of social media, and she's got a company. So I'm getting my dad's bloody texting me like mad now. She's the queen of social media, but also from a marketing point of view. She got a degree and a master's in social media from university, and I reached out in 2014 on LinkedIn and said, like, I've got no idea what I'm doing, no idea of marketing, no idea of advertising. Can anybody help me? And she came back to me and went, yeah, I can. But rather than me help you, what you need to do is read my thesis. So she's got a thesis called Living Through a Social Revolution, and it's brilliant. So all the things she stuck in that I implemented. So when I got to do my website, I made sure that it went in, singing and dancing, and it was, gold fairies flying down the outside of it. It's anything you can do. It was just like, my website was amazing. Content's king. So that's why, God damn it. Keep pinging away. Keep turning it bloody off. So content's king. So I thought loads of content out there by way of blogs. Just bear with me a second while I just. Right. So content's king. So still loads of content onto my website. So I've got something like 30,000 pages on my website at the moment. So when you said about somebody coming in, hacking it and deleting it all, I know exactly where you're coming from with this. There are 30,000 pages on there, and my SEO was amazing. And then one night at about 4 o'clock in the morning, I got this phone call. So my phone was buzzing away. I'm like, I'm thinking something's wrong with my family, maybe my dad or something. And I'm looking at it, it's got this American number. And I was just about to cut it off, and I'm like, I recognize that number. It's Weebly. What's Weebly doing ringing me up at like 4 o'clock in the morning? So I picked it up, and they're on San Francisco time, so it's in the middle of the day for them. Hi, Mr. Kelly. Is that Mr. Kelly? I'm like, yeah. Hello, yeah, it's Weebly in San Francisco. Sorry for ringing at this time, so I appreciate it might be late at night for you. However, we just wanted to make you aware that you've got nothing to worry about with your website. What do you mean I've got nothing to worry about with my website? Oh, well, it's just that somebody's trying to take it down. Okay, why, in what way? Well, yeah, it's, the reason why I want to call you and say, like, to kind of affirm that you've got nothing to worry about is that your website is on a shared server, and it's shared over 22 other different servers. So it's not just on one server, it's shared across all of them. So, but we've had a major issue. Right, anyway, the issue we've had is that we've had something like 500,000 denial of service requests come through targeting your website. I was like, oh, that's somebody doing a really concerted effort there, trying to take my website offline. They went, well, all that's happened is it's not took your website offline, but it's made all of our servers go slow. because it's across all of them. So the reason why we noticed it is it's not just affected your website, it's affected every single website that we serve through Weebly. So we thought we need to make you aware of it because clearly somebody's having a go against you. So from that point, I thought, I've cheated somebody off here. Somebody really, really doesn't want my content online. So I back it up. So I have a separate backup for my website. So if it goes offline, I've got another copy of it. So create mirror images of stuff. So just do backups. So if you have got something where you have got social media, you've got videos and stuff on it, just make sure you've got a means of, like I said, put it all onto your website and then do a backup of your website. And then if you do lose it off your, your Twitter, your Facebook, your TikTok, or anything else, it's on your website, you've got a link to it. But anything in, like your video, YouTube's quite a good resource to stick it on because it'll never get took down generally, and you can put it up. You can do whatever you want with it. Out with that? Yeah, no. Right, I'm gonna wind up for the night. Like I say, my phone's driving me crackers because I'm getting being famous in the background doesn't help me try to do a training session.
I'm gonna go and watch you now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. My dad's just he's like, I just said, like, just give me 5 minutes. He's like, fucking ping, 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 ping. So he's like, hang on, let's see what's on me, because it's like, share screen. Can I share WhatsApp? Yes, I can. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, wicked.
That's amazing. That, like, I mean, credit where credit's due. Brilliant. Brilliant.
Marketing.
Yeah.
Oh, marketing. And like I said, this is why I keep trying to put across. You need to kind of
do us a favor then, Tim.
Yeah.
Have you got a pen?
Yeah.
Just write down Kev, Premier Car Care, and if Tim and Fuzz just needs like a little cigarette burn done or a leather repair, do you know what I mean? Well, you've got your piece of paper, haven't you? I'll text you my number.
You see, you can do way better than that. You see, you're not thinking far up ahead. So what you want to do is go, who does Fuzz work for?
I haven't got a clue.
All right. So this is where you got to think, you see. So I'll give you an example. So the NEC, so the car show, in fact, actually, hang on. So I'll give you. So when I say to you about that, I speak to these two every day. So you'll see across there, I've got Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Underneath there, I've got Fuzz. Chats them all the time, they're good lads. But you're an example of this is that who's important, who gets you to where you need to be with stuff. So an example of this was when I was at the NEC car show on Friday, Mike Brew was on stage. And every time I see Mike Brewer, I'm all over him. I'll just go, I'll up and give him a business card. I bet he's got more business cards and Motor Claim Guru than I've got. Because every time I see him, I'm just like, fucking having that, mate. Every single time. So I'm just going to stop that there. So, yeah, I'm not stopping, but yeah. Thanks for tonight, guys. Great evening. I'll record it. I'll be on YouTube. If you want to catch it up, we'll find it.